Good afternoon. Little louder. Good afternoon. And now, let's maintain silence for 10 seconds. Silence is awkward. Silence is amazing. But you cannot remain silent for a period of minutes, days, weeks. So today, what breaks a silence? Silence is always broken by a sound, by a voice. As a kid, I wasn't too excited or enthused about many things in life. As a kid, I was generally a very shy child, born in a middle-class family with mostly like yourselves, academia at the core, parents had academics as a priority. What happens in a non-internet era, in a non-social media era? What happens in a non-smartphone era? And what happens in a non-real era? You work on your academics, but you play a lot of sport. So I started playing a lot of sports. And sports became a DNA to my life. It became such a big DNA that that shy kid started making friends. And when there was a huddle, cricket was obviously the sport, but when there was a huddle after getting a wicket, this kid was silent. Even after he got a wicket, he didn't know how to express. But slowly, your friends, your peers started encouraging you to speak more. Enjoy your wicket, enjoy your 50, enjoy your 100. Suddenly at the age of 12 to 14 to 16, this kid suddenly had a voice. Voices helped. And cricket became a big, large instrument in this man's life who's standing in front of you. So somebody who couldn't even properly construct an English sentence, having studied in an English medium school, couldn't properly speak Bengali, which was my native language. Suddenly, lots of construction of sentences, expressions started coming out, but there was no framework for it. And the framework didn't exist because it was pure expression of joy, fun, laughter, losing something, crying. It was expression. There was no concept of what you all learn today is communicating, articulating. That was non-existent. What it led was, it became a professional part of my life. At a very young age, I played a lot of grade cricket. I played a lot of cricket in representing my state, under 16, under 19. Then I represented Ranji Trophy for Bengal. And I went to the great MRF Pace Camp, and I had the privilege of being there for 3 years. Some great India cricketers were my roommates, and my coach was Dennis Lilly, one of the greatest fast bowlers of all time. You know, I didn't learn much about how to bowl an outswing or an in-swing or a bouncer or a yorker. I learned when you are about to execute that, so many people watching you, how do you conduct the silence? It's silent, right? In a stadium before the ball is getting bowled. In a tense situation when thousands of people are watching, it's still silent. But then somebody gets a wicket, somebody hits a six, and the stadium erupts. That's the beauty of silence, noise, and voice. So life became organic with emotions like expressing joy, expressing your emotions. And what it led was the whole concept of you are able to move forward. And that led to something very interesting. Professional sports allowed me to work in a different sphere, in a different area. It took me to the shores of United Kingdom. When we did that, it allowed me to move forward and build a career. That career was technology. The technology career started with a lot of research, a lot of AI, and that research and AI was back in the day, which was 1998, 1999, 2000, and then the consumer internet opened up for me. You build technology and you build .com in a consumer internet era about faceless, nameless thumbs beyond the smartphone age. So your silence has to give joy through the bridge of technology. What it did do, it allowed me to start thinking. It allowed me to start thinking from what is the concept of voice? The concept of voice. The uncontactable tribes of Amazon who are being currently focused on keeping them uncontactable. They are being told that you cannot contact them because they have their own voice, own noise, own expressions, not a single language which human beings in the civilized countries know, but they have their language, they have their body language, sign language, noise, but they have their voice. Only they know that, but they're living a great life without being connected to any state, country in the world. That is the power of breaking the silence. Let's talk about another example. The man who was arguably the greatest boxer of all time was actually a very nervy human being. You know what he did? He used to build up before the game. He used to build up and he created a narrative of voice, a narrative of communication before a heavyweight boxing match. And he became more popular as a narrative, a storyteller, as a communicator than he was one of the greatest boxers. He used the power of articulation, communication, and his voice. He also led me to think, in today's day and age, another narrative. What is that narrative? That narrative is the story of Nirmal Purja, humble, middle-class Nepalese Gurkha, part of that regiment. They struggle with communication. They're a quiet bunch. They silently do their job. But this kid said, I have to voice my work. I have to voice my expression. Gets picked up by the defense forces in United Kingdom. He serves there for 10 years. But what kept on happening in his head was, how do I put the voice of Nepal across the world? How do I put that this people, these entire set of human beings who have represented Nepal across helping hundreds of mountaineers in Mount Everest. So he took up an oath to climb 14 peaks in 7 months. He learned how to talk. He learned how to communicate with media. He learned how to articulate in getting sponsors. It's an unheard capability which has never been done before. The last guy who did it in 15 years. He wanted to do, it's like running a marathon which was done in 2000. A guy used to be there for 2 hours to finish a certain marathon. It has to be done in 10 minutes. So him climbing 14 peaks, voicing his work, voicing the community he came from, established what the power of voice is, what the power of articulation is. He did it, and today the world stands up and salutes him. Everywhere, voice was important for him to say the story. Articulation was important for him to get the funds. Communication was important for him to do the post-achievement story. Today he is a great, great inspiration. This man doesn't need any introduction. He went through his crisis at a very young age, having lost every ability. Brilliant scientist, brilliant genius, devised the abilities of the narrative, articulation, thinking, introspecting, and then kept on inventing, and then kept on communicating throughout the course of his life. That's the power of breaking the silence through a simple concept which we all ignore called voice. So, which led me to form a model, an original model and an original idea that if you have to break the walls of silence, how do you do it? What is voice? In today's day and age, what is voice? What is the definition of voice for a young Gen Z, an alpha, a millennial, all of you? Imagine I am speaking and you are hearing me and you are interpreting my speech. You will learn a few things and you will articulate that in your head. Now you will think, how do I communicate what I just learned in my way? Not in his way, but my way. And that is your expression, which is your personalized voice. All of you are hearing this, but all of you will interpret it and use it in a very, very different way. So the formula is voice equal to interpretation, articulation, plus expression. It's as simple as that. Let me give you one more way to think about it. Imagine you are hearing a great TED Talk. It's a great learning platform, knowing ideas, learning about ideas. But if that is the story, how do you learn and implement and execute as if it is your own? So you hear the talk, you think about it. While you're hearing, you're thinking about it. You're introspecting. Then you're thinking, where do I put this as part of an articulated communication whenever I'm amongst my friends, amongst my family members, with mom and dad, with my school group, with my sports peers? Then when you actually put that expression based on your interpretation and your articulation and your communicating agnostic to any language, that becomes your voice. And that silence somewhere gets broken. That silence somewhere gets mitigated. It's never easy for young, brilliant brains, young people who will be the future of this planet to break that thought. This formula is applicable to somebody playing basketball. Imagine the best basketballers in the world, how unbelievable their thinking is. Whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Kobe Bryant, whether it's LeBron James. They're great thinkers. They interpret, they learn. Then wow, what articulation. Everybody's communication. But they are expressive on the court too. They're expressive on their interviews too. That's the power of this formula. It's as simple. On that note, it's been a pleasure. Silence needs to be broken. The walls need to be brought down. And the biggest instrument is verbalize, vocalize, voice yourself. #voice speak out. Use the formula. Thank you.